friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video we will talk about solving quadratic equations by completing the square. Okay, as always, let's start with an example. So we have this equation, x squared plus 6x plus 1 equal to 0, and then we want to find the answer by completing the square. You could use other methods, but let's say you were asked specifically to solve through completing the square. Just a reminder that we had this pattern before: a plus b to the power 2 equals a squared plus b squared plus 2 times ab. Okay, and this is the pattern we will use to change this equation into a complete square. So what you will do, you will move the constants. Okay, so here the coefficient of x to the power 2, it's 1. The b is whatever number. So the c, which is the constant, should be moved to the other side. Okay, so first thing, you have to move the coefficient to the other side, and then put some room, leave some room for a new c, because here we will have to find a new c value and then try to make it into a perfect square. So here, once more, you move the constant to the other side, and then you would have some room for the new c on this side. And because it's an equation, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you should do the same to the other side of the equation. So if you add a new c to this side, you should also do the same and add a new c to the other side. And here, remember, it is plus 1, but when you change the side, the sign would also flip. Okay, so let's see what is the value for the new c. In order to find the new c, first of all, you have to take the b value, okay, which is 6, then divide it by 2, which would be 6 over 2, then raise it to the power 2. Okay, so for here, let's find the new c value. The b coefficient is 6, so the new c value would be 6 over 2 to the power 2, which is equal to 9. Then we add the 9 to both sides of the equation, and let's see what we get. So if we add the 9 to both sides, we will end up with x squared plus 6x plus 9. And then on this side, I would have -1 plus -9. So this side, as the pattern which I reminded you in the beginning of this video, this changed into x plus 3 and times x plus 3, or you can simply write it as x plus 3 to the power 2 equals, on this side, -1 plus 9 would be plus 8. Okay, now we have the equation x plus 3 to the power 2 equals 8. So in order to find the answer, we will get square root from both sides. But here I want to introduce another rule. So when you take the square root from one side, the other side should be plus and minus. Okay, so the square root of this side would be x plus 3. The square root of this side would be radical 8, but don't forget the plus and negative sign. So radical 8 is also equal to 2 radical 2. I prefer to use 2 radical 2 instead of radical 8. And then the answers would be x plus 3 equals plus radical 8, which you get the answer 2 radical 2 minus 3, and then the other answer would be -2 radical 2 -3. Okay, let's continue this video with another example. Here we have x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals to 0, and you were specifically asked to solve this quadratic equation with completing the square. I know you might be able to use factorization or even quadratic formula, but you are asked specifically to use the method of completing the square. So again, I put this formula, the pattern here as a reminder because this is the pattern you should be using here. So to proceed, as I mentioned, you have to move the constant, which here is 3, to the other side. So the sign will be flipped to -3, and then we have to find the new c value. In order to find the new c value, remember the new c value, it's b over 2. The b is the coefficient of x over 2 to the power 2, which here the b value is 4. So 4 to the power 2 raised to the power 2 would be 4. And then we add it here, and because it's an equation, right? In math, we always, whatever we do to one side of equation, we should be doing the same to the other side. So we add this value to this side and this side. Okay, so now the equation after simplification will change into x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 1, which this side is a perfect square with this rule. Okay, and it will be x plus 2 to the power 2 equals 1. Okay, so here you can take a square root from both sides, so x plus 2 would be equal to plus and minus 1. To find the two answers, because it's a quadratic, x plus 2 would be equal to 1, and then x plus 2 would be equal to -1, and from here you get two answers, +1 or -3. And this is what you expect because it's a quadratic. Okay, third example, x squared -20x plus 3. Here the a, sorry, which is the coefficient of x squared is 1. The b is a negative number and it's -20, and the c, the constant, is 3. Here the formula we use for completing the square would be a minus b to the power 2, because the b coefficient is negative. So let's proceed. So as always, we move the c to the other side and expand it. So that would turn into x squared minus 20x plus, and then this 3 is moved to the other side and the sign is flipped. So we have to find the new c. The new c value, no matter if it's positive or negative, would be b over 2. The whole thing is raised to the power 2. And then that would be -20 over 2 to the power 2, which is like 100. Then we go back, we substitute 100 on this side and this side, because again, in math, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you should do that to the other side as well. So here, in the next step, I simplify both sides. So x squared minus 20x plus 100 would be equal to 97. And this side can be rearranged or rewritten as a perfect square according to this formula. So here I would have x minus 10 to the power 2 equals to 97. I take a square root from both sides, so x minus 10 would be plus and minus radical 97. It's very important that you remember when you're taking a square root, one side should be plus and minus, otherwise you will end up with only one root. And remember, with quadratic, we always expect two roots or two identical roots. So here, the next step would be finding the two roots. So x minus 10 would be equal to positive radical 97, which then the x would be square root of 97, and the 10 moves to the other side, the sign will flip. So the answer would be, one of the roots would be square root of 97 plus 10. The other one would be x minus 10 equals to negative square root of 97. So the x would be negative square root of 97, and 10 moves to the other side, but the sign will be flipped. As you can see, we have two answers, two roots, or two solutions. They are the same terms that are used for you guys in order to solve the equation. Okay, next example would be x squared minus 8x minus 4 equal to 0. Again, you're asked to solve this by completing the square. Again, I emphasize you can use the quadratic formula or the factorization method or any other method, but here for this video we are trying to focus on completing the square. And even if you use the quadratic formula, your final answer for the roots should be exactly the same as we get here. So once more, the coefficient of x to the power 2, it's 1. The b is negative 8 and the c is negative 4. And because the b is negative, this is the formula we will follow for completing the square, which is a minus b. The whole thing is raised to the power 2, and it equals to a squared minus 2 times ab plus b squared. Okay? So first, we will expand our equation and we will make some room for the new c. So x squared minus 8x plus some room for the new c, which you have to find, and then the constant will be moved to the other side, but the sign will be flipped. Okay, so negative 4 will be changed to 4. And then the next step would be finding the new c value. In order to find the new c value, you have to follow the formula, which is b over 2 to the power 2. Here, the b, which is the coefficient of x, is a negative number, but it doesn't matter, because even if it's negative, when it's raised to the power 2, it will turn into positive. So the new c calculated here would be 16. Then I go back, I simply substitute 16 on both sides, as it's an equation, and in math, whatever you do to one side of equation, you should do it to the other side as well, so the balance doesn't change. Then I will have to rearrange and simplify. So this side will be x squared minus 8x plus 16, which is a complete square, and this side will change into 20. Okay. To find the roots, we have to take a square root from both sides. X minus 4 on this side, 20 on this side, square root, so it would be x minus 4, and then plus and minus square root of 20. Don't forget that we should have plus and minus until otherwise we wouldn't have two different roots. The first root would be x minus 4 equals plus square root of 20, and the final x value would be square root of 20 plus 4, because the 4 is changing the side, so the sign will be flipped. The other answer would be x minus 4 equals negative square root of 20, and the x would be negative square root of 20 plus 4. So here again, the negative 4 will change side, so the sign will be flipped. Again, two answers, two roots for your quadratic, and the method you used was completing the square. So if you try to solve the same equation with quadratic formula, your answer should be exactly the same. Let's continue with another example. Here, this one, it's an interesting example because here the coefficient a, it's a negative number, and this is not what we expect. We want the coefficient to be a square, a complete square number. So what I'll do, I will move the two terms, negative x squared plus 2x to the other side, and and change, so they will flip their sign. Or you can simply add plus x squared minus 2x to both sides. So this equation will change into 4 equals x squared minus 2x. From here, I would have to make some room for the new c value. So the new c value would be b over 2 to the power 2. And here your b value is negative 2, and I want you to remind yourself which complete square you have to use, because there were two formulas. One of them was a plus b, the other one was a minus b. So try to think about it. Whenever this thing is negative, the b is negative, this is the formula you have to use, a minus b to the power 2. Okay, so here, after you find the c, which is plus 1, the new c value, you go back, you substitute both sides again. So this side will change into x squared minus 2x plus 1. The other side will be changing to 5. Okay, so this is the formula. This is after simplification. So here I change it into square root, complete a square. X minus 1 to the power 2 is equal 5. And in order to find the root, I have to take a square root from both sides. So what happens is x minus 1 should be equal to plus and minus radical 5. So I would have two answers. X minus 1 is square root of 5. So the x would be square root of 5 plus 1, because the negative 1 will change its side, so flip the sign. The other answer would be x minus 1 equals negative radical 5, and then the answer would be negative square root of 5 plus 1. Again, the negative 1 will flip its sign because it's changing the side of the equation. I hope this video and the examples I brought you will help you to solve quadratic equation by completing the squares. Please let me know if you want me to solve any specific questions in the comment section, and I will try to do it for you. And I also try to make another video with practice time, which I call them practice time, and more examples, because as I told you, with math, it's all about practicing, and practice makes perfect. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you then. Bye.